Grandma Helen got cancer, but no one in the family wanted to pay for her treatment. Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary kicked her out of their house. Dad, Michael, and Mom, Susan, urged her to give up, and Aunt Emily and Uncle Tom cursed her for not dying sooner. Only I would secretly visit Grandma Helen, bring her good food, and save money to buy her central heating. It wasn't until Grandma Helen revealed her inheritance. Not only did she own a townhouse in Washington, D.C., but she also knew the location of priceless antiques, that the relatives instantly changed their attitudes, becoming exceptionally attentive and practically worshiping her. But after she passed away, she left inheritance to all the relatives, except me. During the Christmas/New Year holiday, everyone was too lazy to return to the old house. Mom, Susan, even scolded me. What's the point of going back to see that old bat? She can't give you a single cent. Brian was sprawled on the sofa playing video games, and Dad, Michael, was scrolling through his phone, pretending not to hear. Ever since Grandma Helen got cancer, the family felt it was bad luck to see her. But thinking of Grandma Helen's kind face, I couldn't bear to leave her alone in the old house. Dad, Michael, aren't you going either? Maybe we should ask Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary since Grandma Helen has been living with them. Dad, Michael, impatiently waved his phone and said, "Don't bother me. Whoever wants to go can go. I'm very busy." Helpless, I thought of Uncle Robert. Before Grandma Helen got sick, she had been taking care of his grandson, so Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary should at least visit her, right? I called Uncle Robert, and he answered after a long while. But as soon as he heard that I wanted to go home to see Grandma Helen, he immediately said he was too busy. "Your Aunt Mary and I don't have time to go back. We have to take care of our precious grandson. Besides, your Grandma Helen isn't paralyzed. She doesn't need anyone to look after her." With that, he hung up. Aunt Emily, without even waiting for me to ask, directly announced in the family group chat, "We're taking the kids to Miami for vacation. We won't be back this year." I felt a lump in my throat. They weren't like this when Grandma Helen wasn't sick. When Grandma Helen was young, she was a worker, a very shrewd and capable old lady. All of us grandchildren were brought up by Grandma Helen. Mom, Susan, and Dad, Michael, threw me to Grandma Helen to take care of so they could have Brian. If Grandma Helen hadn't insisted on registering me, I would still be an undocumented person. Grandma Helen treated all of us children equally, and she used her retirement savings to buy us food and drinks as soon as she got it. Back then, Uncle Robert, Dad, Michael, and Aunt Emily all wanted to take Grandma Helen into their houses. Grandma Helen was clean, cooked well, and was educated. Having her around was like having a free full-time nanny. It wasn't until Grandma Helen got sick and couldn't help everyone anymore that the adults changed. But no matter what, she was still my Grandma Helen. If they weren't going, I would go. As a result, when I got back, I saw Grandma Helen digging cabbage in the yard. She had lost a lot of weight, enough to see her high cheekbones, and her eye sockets were sunken deeply. She looked like a rack of ribs. My nose tingled instantly. Grandma Helen heard the sound of the door opening and looked over at me. "Ashley, what are you doing here? Come inside quickly. It's too cold." As Grandma Helen spoke and raised her hand, the cotton padding in the armpit of her coat was torn, revealing the white cotton. I held back my tears and brought the milk and bread inside. The house was also freezing. Now everyone uses central heating, and very few people burn coal anymore. Grandma Helen didn't have central heating and was reluctant to turn on the air conditioning I bought her. Her only way to keep warm was to boil a pot of water and put it in her quilt. Grandma Helen was afraid I would be cold and quickly filled a hot water bottle for me. Cough, cough. "I thought none of you would be back this winter. Where are your parents?" Looking at Grandma Helen's expectant eyes, I didn't know how to answer, so I had to say that they were still working overtime and didn't have time to come back. Grandma Helen didn't say much and still made me a table full of good food. But right after we finished eating, Grandma Helen said she was going to wash the dishes. I quickly grabbed them and wanted to wash them myself, but Grandma Helen wouldn't let me. Cough, it's rare for you to come back. Just sit down, cough, cough, cough. As she spoke, her cough became more and more violent, and her face became redder and redder until she coughed up a mouthful of blood, and her body collapsed like cooked noodles. I was stunned and quickly called the hospital. But the outskirts of Hicksville was far from the hospital, and it would take at least half an hour to drive there. After calling for an ambulance, I hurriedly called Dad, Michael, but no one answered. I also filmed a video and sent it to the family group chat, begging them to come back and help quickly. But the usually lively family group chat was as quiet as a graveyard. Fortunately, someone from the neighbor's house helped me take Grandma Helen to the hospital. After a night of emergency treatment, Grandma Helen was finally out of danger. But the doctor also gave me a critical condition notice. The disease was progressing rapidly, and Grandma Helen had at most a month left. I held back my tears and notified the family. I said in the family group chat, Grandma Helen doesn't have much time left. When are you coming to the hospital? No one replied. 10 minutes later, I continued, Grandpa George passed away early, and Grandma Helen brought you all up. Now that the old woman is sick, are you all just going to ignore her? Soon, Uncle Robert sent a long voice MES. Sage, in which he cursed, who told you to interfere? What do you know, you little brat? Do you expect us to spend all our retirement savings to treat an incurable disease? Aunt Emily also chimed in, that's right. I have 2 sons to raise. Tuition, tutoring fees, and extracurricular activity fees all cost money. I'm telling you, we don't have money to keep her in the hospital. Take her back quickly. Dad, Michael's call came right after. He cursed fiercely. Who told you to take her to the hospital? Do you have money to pay for her treatment? I'm telling you, don't even think about asking me for it. If you have the ability, you can pay for that old woman's treatment yourself. I choked back a sob and shouted, I'll pay for it. I'll work to pay for Grandma Helen's treatment. You all don't have any conscience. Mom, Susan, took the phone and scolded me. What are you showing off for? Do you think you're the only one with a conscience? If they don't care, what are you meddling for? Get back here now. The phone hung up. My face was gently touched. I looked up and realized that Grandma Helen was awake. She was wiping away my tears. Grandma Helen said weakly, Ashley, don't be afraid. Grandma Helen has money. Grandma Helen will make them come back. At first, I thought Grandma Helen was joking until I really found a bank card with $1 million in the nightstand in the old house. Grandma Helen personally called them one by one, asking me to send each family $20,000, promising more money upon their arrival at the hospital. Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary were the first to arrive. As soon as they entered, Uncle Robert handed the grandson he was holding to Grandma Helen. Mom, the kids miss you. We've been wanting to bring you back to live with us. Aunt Mary also said flatteringly, Mom, just tell us if you need anything. It's just that the kids need to go to school soon, and the tuition is a bit high. Grandma Helen smiled and said, It's okay. I have money. Uncle Robert and Aunt Mary's smiles deepened, and they diligently poured water for Grandma Helen. Dad, Michael, and Mom, Susan, were the second to arrive, carrying fruits and milk, also with smiles on their faces. Mom, it's a good thing we had Ashley here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to see you. We were planning to come home together, but who knew there would be a traffic jam, making us late. Sigh, my car is already outdated. It'll be troublesome to take you out to play in the future. Dad, Michael, looked at Grandma Helen with anticipation. Grandma Helen continued to smile. It's time to get a new one. Uncle Robert eagerly asked, Mom, how much money do you have left? Don't rush. We'll talk about it together when Emily arrives. Aunt Emily, who was originally vacationing in Miami, took a flight overnight to the hospital. As soon as she came in, she started wailing. Mom, how are you? You don't know. I was so worried when I heard you were sick that I didn't even care about the kids. Mom, you don't know. It cost me thousands of dollars for a trip to Miami. Grandma Helen nodded. I'll reimburse you. I called you all here today mainly to discuss my final affairs. I don't have much time left. Since we didn't have Christmas/New Year dinner together, let's have a family reunion dinner today. Grandma Helen pulled out a large bag from under the bed, filled with neatly stacked $940,000 in cash. Everyone's eyes lit up, staring intently at the red banknotes, their desire for money stirring. Ashley, here, take $100,000 first and order a good meal. Grandma Helen directly placed 10 stacks of cash in my hands. Dad, Michael, immediately snatched it away. What good meal can a little girl like her order? Mom, I'll order it. Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily's eyes followed the money, each wanting a share. Grandma Helen zipped the bag up again. This money is just a small part of it, but who gets it will depend on your performance. Uncle Robert immediately asked, how can our family have so much money? Where's the rest of the money? Grandma Helen glanced at him calmly. What's the rush? Uncle Robert said awkwardly, I'm just afraid that if you pass away quickly, the property will benefit outsiders. Aunt Emily hugged Grandma Helen's arm and said, Brother, look at what you're saying. You're hoping Mom dies. Uncle Robert's face darkened, and he secretly glared at Aunt Emily. Grandma Helen said, You may not know, but your Grandpa George used to be from Washington, D.C. He only came here to escape disaster. Their family used to own a townhouse in Washington, D.C. To escape disaster, he also hid some antique porcelain. As for this money, it was also left by your Grandpa George back then. He said that I could only tell you when I was about to die, and whoever was the most filial would get the property. Upon hearing this, everyone in the room had different expressions. Aunt Emily hugged Grandma Helen and cried, Mom, you've always loved me the most. Seeing you've lost so much weight, I'm really heartbroken. Uncle Robert brought hot water to soak Grandma Helen's feet. Mom, you used to wash our feet when we were little. Now it's my turn to wash yours. Dad, Michael, brought the food to the bedside. Mom, don't you like this egg custard the most? Don't get up. I'll feed you. Grandma Helen paid to upgrade to a VIP hospital room, and the family had a reunion dinner in the hospital. Looking at the harmonious family, I didn't feel right. They all came for Grandma Helen's money. I didn't believe Grandma Helen couldn't see it. But Grandma Helen still happily enjoyed this hard-earned filial piety. Everyone scrambled to be filial to Grandma Helen. Uncle Robert even told me to go home and sleep. Ashley, there are too many of you three. You should go back. Aunt Emily also quickly said, Yes, you should go back to school after Christmas/New Year. You don't need to worry about things here. Mom, Susan, blocked me and said, Why should she? Our Ashley has been with Mom all along. Logically speaking, that townhouse should belong to our family. Aunt Emily immediately got angry. Why? Who knows what her intentions are in serving the old lady? Maybe she's just here for the money. I couldn't help but retort, Aunt Emily, you've got it backwards, right? You only came after you knew Grandma Helen had money. Weren't you on vacation and didn't want to come home at first? Now you're pretending to be filial. Aunt Emily's face flushed, and she grabbed my arm and cursed fiercely, You think you're so capable. What's it to you that I went on vacation? This is my own mother. Can't I care for her? What's all the fuss about? Neither of you can take that townhouse. I'm the eldest son in the family. That townhouse should rightfully belong to me." While the family was arguing, Dad, Michael's intelligence suddenly came online. What if there's no townhouse or antiques at all? Maybe the old lady is just tricking us. Everyone immediately quieted down, and a hint of suspicion appeared on Uncle Robert's face. "I think so too, but the old lady suddenly took out so much money. Who knows if it's real or not?" Aunt Emily turned her attention to me again. "Ashley, you're close to your Grandma Helen. Go ask the old lady where that townhouse is and if she has the property deed." No need to ask the child. I brought the property deed with me. Grandma Helen walked in from outside wearing a hospital gown and slammed the property deed on the table. On her wrist, which was so thin it was all bones, was a crystal-clear jade bracelet. "This bracelet is one of the antiques your Grandpa George left behind. Now you should believe me, right?" Everyone's faces were embarrassed, and they quickly said they believed her. After staying in the hospital for a few days, Grandma Helen wanted to go home. The one simple old house was decorated luxuriously and warmly. Everyone in the family, young and old, came, and the usually dessert. The old house was lively for the first time. Grandma Helen also changed into new clothes, but even the best clothes didn't fit her anymore, hanging loosely. Grandma Helen always smiled as she looked at everyone, making it impossible for anyone to guess what she was thinking. But Grandma Helen was particularly generous this year, granting every request the children made. Brian wanted to buy the latest iPhone, the cousin wanted to buy a laptop, and the cousin wanted to get a new car. Grandma Helen agreed to everything, and everyone was even nicer to Grandma Helen. Later, Grandma Helen also asked me, hugging me and saying, "What does our Ashley want?" "Whatever you want, Grandma Helen will agree to it." Her arms were so thin and bony as she hugged me. I secretly wiped away my tears and said, "Grandma Helen, I want you to be healthy and live a long life." Grandma Helen smiled gently, touched my head, and said, "Heaven won't grant that wish." "Grandma Helen, then I hope you won't be in pain anymore." Grandma Helen hugged me and said, "Then Grandma Helen hopes Ashley will study hard, because studying hard is the only way to be successful." Grandma Helen's body was getting worse and worse. Painkillers didn't work anymore, so she had to have the nurse come to the house to give her shots. Grandma Helen went from being able to walk around occasionally to lying in bed for long periods. After the Christmas/New Year holiday, those who had to go to school went to school, and those who had to go to work went to work, but several of the children still hadn't left. As I was about to leave, I overheard Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily talking. Uncle Robert said, "I checked. The property deed that the old lady has is real. That house is worth hundreds of millions. And that bracelet of hers is worth several million. I just don't know if the old lady is going to give anything to Michael's family." Aunt Emily snorted coldly. "That little brat in their family is all sweet talk and says she doesn't want anything, just to make the old lady happy. If you ask me, we should just get her out of here as soon as possible, so the old lady doesn't get soft." Dad, Michael, quietly popped out from behind. He patted me on the shoulder. "Did you hear that? Don't go to school for now. Stay here and get the old lady on our side. Our family will be rich, and then getting Brian a wife won't be a problem." A fire flared up in my heart, and I shook off his hand fiercely. "I'm not leaving, but not because of the money. I'm going to watch you, so even if Grandma Helen is lying in bed and can't move, you won't be able to bully her." Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily came out when they heard the noise, both with mocking expressions. "TCH, just admit you want money. No need to make up so many excuses." That day finally came. Grandma Helen was conscious for shorter and shorter periods, and Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily were getting more and more anxious. Because Grandma Helen hadn't left a will yet, they were afraid she would leave all the property to me, so they kept preventing me from contacting Grandma Helen. Until that day, Grandma Helen's condition suddenly improved a lot, and she looked radiant. I knew this was her final burst of energy. Grandma Helen called us together and had a lawyer personally dictate the will. I'm leaving that townhouse to Robert. Robert's family has more people and needs more money. As for the location of the antiques, I'm giving it to Michael. Michael, you better be nice to our Ashley in the future. I'm giving the rest of the money to Emily. Emily, your family is well off, so take less. Even though Uncle Robert was trying to hold back, he couldn't hide the corners of his mouth from turning up. Dad, Michael, couldn't pretend and happily showed his big teeth. Mom, don't worry, Ashley is my own daughter. I'll definitely be good to her. Only Aunt Emily's face darkened. Why am I getting so little? You're being biased. If I had known, I wouldn't have come back. What can I do with a few $100,000? Then don't take it, Grandma Helen said calmly. Aunt Emily paused for a moment, then shouted again, I can't not take it. I took care of you for so long. Why aren't you giving it to me? I want it. Grandma Helen didn't say anything and just waved me over. Ashley, come here. Grandma Helen doesn't have anything good to leave you. You have to listen to Grandma Helen and study hard, because studying hard is the only way to be successful. My tears couldn't help but fall, and I nodded forcefully. Grandma Helen, I know. I will definitely study hard. Grandma Helen gave me one last gentle look, then closed her eyes. I sobbed uncontrollably. Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily were arguing over the property, and no one noticed that Grandma Helen had already passed away. It's tradition that the children observe a 7-day mourning period, but Aunt Emily left directly because Grandma Helen's distribution was unfair. Before leaving, she specifically said to me, "You're such an idiot. The old woman didn't give you a single cent, and you're still crying." I knew what kind of person she was long ago. It's her fault for dying in pain, that sexist piece of garbage. I spit on her. I gritted my teeth and glared at her, then give the money back to Grandma Helen. Grandma Helen is gone, and you're still cursing her. You're not human. Aunt Emily's eyes widened, and she raised her hand to hit me. You little brat, I'm telling you, she should have died long ago. Just because she protects you, you think I wouldn't dare to hit you? Even if I hit you, your dad, Michael, wouldn't dare to say anything. Dad, Michael, and Uncle Robert came back when they heard the noise. Knowing they were in the wrong, neither of them dared to argue with Aunt Emily. Uncle Robert even said while smoking, Ashley, if your aunt wants to hit you, let her hit you. Let her vent her anger. I almost laughed out of anger. Why don't you let her hit you? All three of you. You are the same, all trash. Uncle Robert was so angry that he wanted to slap me, but a gust of wind blew over, and the door slammed shut. Uncle Robert's palm slammed hard on the protruding nail on the door frame. The nail pierced a bloody hole, and he screamed in pain. I sniffed and felt the breeze dry the tears on my face. Grandma Helen was protecting me. I don't blame Grandma Helen for not leaving me a single cent. Although I was also very puzzled why Grandma Helen didn't leave me anything, I knew that everything she did was for my own good. After Grandma Helen passed away, the will automatically took effect. Everyone gathered at a restaurant to eat. Uncle Robert drank 2 glasses and said happily, I told my son and daughter-in-law that we're selling the house we live in now, and our whole family is moving to Washington, D.C. to be big shots. The old lady didn't do anything in her life, but she's really useful in death. Everyone burst out laughing, but I couldn't laugh and silently drank my juice. The cousin said unhappily, why is my Grandma Helen like this? She only gave me a down payment for my car, and I still have to pay the loan myself. Uncle Robert comforted him, when we sell the townhouse, Dad will buy you a luxury car. The cousin then smiled and toasted Uncle Robert, thank you, Dad, for making me a second-generation rich kid. Aunt Emily snorted coldly. I think the inheritance should be redistributed. I put in the most effort taking care of the old lady. Why am I getting the least? The atmosphere suddenly turned cold. Dad, Michael, slammed the table and said, "What are you all dissatisfied with? Ashley has been taking care of the old lady all along, and she didn't get a single cent either. Isn't the old lady going to give you the antiques? Those antiques will sell for hundreds of millions, so what do you have to be dissatisfied with?" Aunt Emily also slammed the table and stood up. "Anyway, I don't think it's right. Today, each of you give me $10 million, or we'll go to court. I want to see who's right." Uncle Robert also slammed the table. "Are you trying to disrupt the family harmony by making such a fuss? I'm telling you, giving you a few $100,000 is already more than enough. You're a married daughter anyway. If you ask me, you shouldn't get a single cent." Aunt Emily was so angry that she picked up a wine glass and threw it at him. "What right do you have to say that? You freeloaded off the old lady for so many years and didn't even go to work. You threw her back in the old house when she got sick. You're the worst." Dad, Michael, wanted to mediate. "Stop arguing. If you ask me, none of you are filial. The most filial one is my daughter. I even think you should give everything to our family." Aunt Emily curled her lips and said disdainfully, "The old lady only knows how to pick on the weak. Your Ashley can serve her for her whole life, and she won't give Ashley a single cent." I gritted my teeth and stood up. "My Grandma Helen isn't that kind of person. If you want to argue, then argue, but you're not allowed to talk about my Grandma Helen." "What if I do?" "Your Grandma Helen is a sexist old bat. I'm telling you, your dad, Michael, won't give you a single cent either, because you're also a useless daughter." I immediately turned to ask my dad, Michael, "Dad, Michael, when you sell the antiques, will you give me any money?" Dad, Michael's eyes shifted, and he scratched his nose and said, "Why are you thinking so much? When you get married, you'll definitely have a dowry." Aunt Emily gloated. "See? You and I are both suckers, giving the most and getting the least." Uncle Robert smashed a wine glass. "Who are you implying? However much money you get is decided by the old lady herself. If you're not happy, go find her." Aunt Emily picked up a plate and threw it over. "I'm telling you, with me here, none of you will get away with this. I want to see who dares to sell the house and the antique. I'll kill you." The restaurant was noisy, with food and saliva flying everywhere. I lowered my head and took the opportunity to leave. Outside, the moon and stars were sparse. I looked at the sky and often thought of the times Grandma Helen and I slept on the roof. I could hear the cicadas, and she would shine a flashlight on her book and tell me stories. Suddenly, it seemed like I thought of something. After Dad, Michael, went home, he quickly found someone to dig up the antiques in the place Grandma Helen mentioned. They actually found several wooden boxes. After, they were Yuan Dynasty porcelain, very exquisite. After, they could sell for at least hundreds of millions. Dad, Michael, almost went crazy with joy at home. Before the porcelain was even sold, he hurriedly quit his job and immediately took out a loan to buy 2 houses. One for themselves and another for Brian to get married. Dad, Michael, said, "Ashley, you're a girl. When you get married in the future, the man will definitely have a house. You don't need to buy one." I didn't say anything and just buried myself in books and studied hard. "Don't buy one if you don't want to. However good you are to me, I'll be good to you too." Mom, Susan, was about to scold me when Dad, Michael, stopped her. "Don't mind her. We have so much money now. Do we still need her to support us?" Uncle Robert's family had already sold the house they were living in and said they were going to move into the townhouse in Washington, D.C. to be big shots. He even called Dad, Michael, and said, "Michael, come visit us when you have time. I'll take you to the National Mall." Dad, Michael, readily agreed and excitedly prepared to go out and play. I couldn't help but remind him that Grandma Helen's memorial service was coming up, and we should go visit the grave. Dad, Michael, impatiently waved me away. "What's the point of going? We're not going back there anyway. Who are we lighting memorial candles for?" Helpless, I had tea. "Oh, go back alone." I was the only one who burned paper, and I was also the only one who discovered Grandma Helen's secret. Just as Dad, Michael, was about to sell the antiques, the police came to the door. "Someone reported that your family is privately hoarding cultural relics. We've come to ask you to hand them over as soon as possible. These all belong to the state." Dad, Michael's face turned pale, but he didn't dare not hand them over. He originally wanted to keep one, but the police still found the antiques he was hiding. After the police left, Dad, Michael, was completely deflated. He grabbed his hair and looked incredulous. How did they know? "Someone must have reported me." "Ashley Jiang, was it you? Just because I didn't buy you a house, you reported me?" Dad, Michael's eyes widened with anger, and he grabbed my collar fiercely. I calmly took back my clothes. "Dad, Michael, why are you suspecting me? What good would it do me to report you? Besides, I don't even know how many antiques you have." Mom, Susan, also said, "Yeah, it wouldn't do her any good to report you. If you go to jail, she'll be affected too." "Was it your brother or your sister who reported you?" Just then, Uncle Robert's phone call came. "Michael, this is bad. The townhouse the old lady gave me is going to be taken away." After asking carefully, I found out that someone found the townhouse and said that Grandma Helen had donated it to the state long ago. Because it was near the National Mall, that townhouse was worth a lot of money. Uncle Robert rushed to my house, looking much thinner, and he grabbed Dad, Michael, and shook him. "Michael, what are we going to do?" "I promised my son and daughter-in-law that we buy a house in Washington, D.C. If we don't buy one, my daughter-in-law is going to divorce my son." "Dad," Michael said impatiently, "what can I do? All my money went into the loan for the house. I can barely pay my mortgage. Who knows which idiot reported the antiques?" "Uncle." Robert gritted his teeth and said, "The old lady set me up, but it definitely wasn't what the old lady wanted, so there's only one person left." The family hurriedly went to Aunt Emily's house. Dad, Michael, even insisted I go with him. "Grandma Helen loved you the most when she was alive. Her antiques are all gone. Can't you be a little worried? Have a little conscience." I pursed my lips, thinking Grandma Helen really was good to me. But I'm not planning on telling them the truth of all this right now. Aunt Emily didn't know what had happened, and Dad, Michael, kicked her. Emily, I didn't expect you to be so black-hearted, so unwilling to see your brother doing well." Aunt Emily was stunned for a moment, then immediately jumped up to grab him, shouting, "What nonsense are you talking about? The house and the antiques were all given to you. What else do you want from me?" Uncle Robert separated the two of them. "The house was donated, and the antiques were taken away. You're the only one who got money. What do you think we want?" After explaining for a long time, Aunt Emily finally understood what had happened. She couldn't help laughing out loud. "I knew the old bat had something up her sleeve. I didn't expect she could plot against you even after she died." Uncle Robert said with a dark face, "I don't care. You have to split that $500,000 with me." "Why should I? The money Grandma Helen gave me." "I won't give you a dime." "Dad," Michael said angrily, "then you have to split half with me, right? You must have reported me, that's why the antiques were confiscated." Aunt Emily spread her hands. "I didn't." Who knows who reported those antiques? Seeing that they were about to start arguing again, Uncle Robert's eyes darted around, and he said, "Do you remember that bracelet on the old bat's wrist? It was buried with her. That bracelet is worth millions." I was stunned. For money, they were actually going to dig up Grandma Helen's grave. Dad, Michael, and Aunt Emily hesitated for a moment, then agreed to dig up the grave. People are dead, but money is alive. They found an excavator and went to dig up the grave in the middle of the night. My face flushed red, and I spread my arms to block the excavator. I'm telling you, as long as I'm here, no one is allowed to dig up Grandma Helen's grave. Dad, Michael, came up to me with a dark face and kicked me. "Get out of here. Your old man needs money to pay off his loans." Aunt Emily crossed her arms and looked disgusted. "What a silly girl. She didn't leave you a penny, and you're still being so filial." Uncle Robert said impatiently, "Drag her away quickly. Don't delay the important stuff." I gritted my teeth, got up from the ground, and picked up stones to throw at them. "You're digging up Grandma Helen's grave before she's even cold. You deserve to be poor for the rest of your lives. You shameless, heartless things. That's your own mother. For money, do you even have a shred of humanity left?" Dad, Michael's face was contorted, and he covered his injured eye, saying, "What's the use of humanity? What's the use of conscience? Without money, you can't even afford school. What are you saying to a kid? Hurry up and dig. We paid you." The excavator driver looked at us hesitantly. I wiped my face and took out a bracelet from my pocket. "Don't dig. The bracelet is here." I secretly took it while I was keeping watch over Grandma Helen's body. Everyone was stunned. Dad, Michael, was the closest and tried to snatch it. "You little brat. Why didn't you say so earlier?" But I raised my hand directly and smashed the bracelet hard on a rock. The jade bracelet shattered into pieces. But now, it doesn't belong to anyone. Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily rushed over. They cried out in heartache, "Do you know how much this bracelet is worth? It's all over because you smashed it." Dad, Michael, slapped me twice in anger. "You dead girl. You're a jinx. You can't accomplish anything. You're going to pay me back those millions." Uncle Robert stared at us, gritting his teeth. "Don't think everything's over just because you smashed the bracelet. Who knows if your bracelet is real or fake? Today, I'm going to dig it out and see." I was almost fainted by their shamelessness. "Uncle Robert, if you dare to dig up Grandma Helen's grave today, I'll go to my cousin's workplace tomorrow and make your whole family unable to hold their heads up." "Aunt Emily, it's the same for you. If you agree to dig up the grave, I'll make trouble at your house. I won't let your parents-in-law and husband have any peace." Dad, Michael, don't think you can't threaten me just because you don't have a job. If you really do it today, I'll tell all your friends and brothers that you're an unfilial son. I lay on Grandma Helen's grave, blocking them. By the way, I also said to the excavator driver, "Please leave quickly. Don't you know that digging up graves will bring bad luck?" The excavator driver was speechless and said he had met a bunch of crazy people today. But while no one asked him for a refund, he quickly slipped away. After they left cursing, I burst into tears. "Grandma Helen, I listened to you. I studied hard, but I'm going abroad soon, and I probably won't be able to visit you often." A gust of wind blew leaves across my face, like Grandma Helen's comfort. My study abroad application went smoothly, and I'm really leaving tomorrow. My family cut off my living expenses long ago. Dad, Michael, Uncle Robert, and Aunt Emily are still arguing. Aunt Emily is determined not to take out the money, but Uncle Robert and Dad, Michael, insist on splitting it equally. They turned their attention to me again and asked Mom, Susan, to ask me, "Ashley, Didn't Grandma Helen leave you any inheritance? She loved you so much, she should have. Looking at Mom, Susan's probing expression, I smiled. Mom, Susan, what do you think? What do you think Grandma Helen would leave me? She must have left you some money, right? Otherwise, how have you been living these days without living expenses? So that's why they didn't give me living expenses. I said lightly, you forgot, we can get loans at school. Mom, Susan, suddenly became furious. Loans? What loans? The house doesn't have money to pay off your loans. It's not needed anymore. Because Grandma Helen really did leave me an inheritance, but this inheritance was hidden in a special place. The day I went to visit the grave alone, I found a yellowed storybook under the bed in the old house. Grandma Helen used to tell me fairy tales. That old storybook contained the inheritance Grandma Helen left me. She wanted me to study hard, not just literally, but also implying that I should find that book. A hole was hollowed out in the book, and inside were a pair of jade bracelets and a phone number. After I called, the lawyer answered. Hello, is this Ashley Jiang? I said yes. The lawyer continued politely, that's right, Miss Helen opened an account in your name before her death and has been saving money for you over the years, totaling about $20 million. You can withdraw this money at any time. How did you know I would call you? The lawyer chuckled. Miss Helen said that her granddaughter is very smart and will definitely find this phone number. Moreover, even if you don't call me, the bank will notify you. Strictly speaking, this is not an inheritance. It is property that she gifted you before her death, and no one has the right to take it away. My nose tingled, and I thanked the lawyer. This pair of jade bracelets, one of which used to be worn on Grandma Helen's hand, but she insisted on leaving it to me before she died, even though she was uncomfortable. Grandma Helen had planned everything before her death. She donated the house before she died, and as for those antiques, she entrusted a lawyer to report them after her death. Undutiful descendants do not deserve to end these things. But she was also afraid that giving it all to me would cause me trouble and disaster, so after leaving me enough property, she simply donated it to the state. Before the lawyer hung up the phone, he kindly reminded me, oh right, Miss Helen also said that she hopes all this money will be used on yourself. If you have any trouble, you can contact me at any time. As for the lawyer's fees, Miss Helen has already paid them. I covered my face and couldn't help crying loudly. Even after she left, she was still so worried about me. After I went abroad to study, the phone would often ring in the middle of the night. Sometimes it was family calling. Mom, Susan, and Dad, Michael, went to the school and found out about my going abroad and threatened me to come back quickly. Dad, Michael, cursed, I knew your Grandma Helen left you an inheritance. Did you think that money was for you? I'm telling you, that money also has a part of me. You must pay off the mortgage for me, otherwise, don't blame me for not recognizing you as my daughter. I sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the beautiful scenery outside and said lightly, do whatever you want. However you treated Grandma Helen, that's how I'll treat you in the future. When you get sick, I'll throw you into the countryside, okay? Dad, Michael, cursed angrily, and Mom, Susan, also lost patience and began to accuse me of being unfilial. They teamed up with Uncle Robert and Aunt Emily to scold me, insisting that I return the money Grandma Helen left me. I simply blocked everyone and sent the call recordings and chat logs to the lawyer. Anyway, Grandma Helen paid enough lawyers' fees. If they dared to scold Grandma Helen or harass me, I'd have the lawyer sue them. My phone was quiet for a long time. A year later, it was Grandma Helen's Memorial Day again. I secretly returned to the country and went to visit the grave in person. Dad, Michael, and the others stopped me, insisting on an explanation. Ashley, Doesn't your conscience hurt that you ran away with so much money? Is that your money that you took? I put on my sunglasses and smiled slightly, then simply clapped my hands, and several suit-clad burly men stood behind me. I'm really sorry. The money is really mine. If anyone dares to stop me today, don't blame me for being impolite. They were all cowards. After I finished paying my respects and was about to leave, they all leaned over flatteringly. Ashley, don't go. Come home for a meal first. We can talk about the money later. Sorry, I'm catching a flight.